Divine timing. 7 miraculous reasons God has prophesied your voice to be revealed now. In the quaint English village of Eldershire, nestled between rolling green hills and the ancient stones of St. Michael's Chapel, whispers of divine secrets hung in the air like the fragrance of blooming heather. Mary, a devout woman in her 30s, had walked this path of faith since childhood. Her thin frame bore the weight of her family's struggles with belief, pressing down on her spirit like a heavy cloak. Her voice, a gift likened to an angel's, was a treasure waiting to be unwrapped, but doubt from her neighbors shrouded it in shadows. They were guardians of tradition, cautious of change, and that made her heart ache. One silent evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, she knelt before her beloved street Cecilia, her spirit trembling with anticipation. "Guide me, dear saint," she whispered, warmth spreading through her chest. Suddenly, a soft breeze swept through the chapel, the flickering candles casting dancing shadows. It felt as though the very walls were breathing, urging her to brave the unknown, to let her voice resonate beyond the village's borders. The stirring within her was unmistakable, as if the heavens were calling. But just as doubts began to melt, sorrow gripped her home. John, her steadfast husband, fell gravely ill. Their cottage transformed from a haven to a place filled with anxiety and despair. Mary wrestled with fear, yet the flickers of faith never dimmed. The local prayer group, led by the wise Mrs. Thompson, came to their aid, filling St. Michael's Chapel with fervent prayers during twilight, each voice rising like incense to the heavens. Their united hopes glimmered like starlight, twinkling against the thick clouds of uncertainty. As Mary announced her decision to join the church choir, murmurs of disbelief rippled through her relations like quicksilver. "What a foolish notion," some whispered, eyes darting away. Yet the longing in her heart grew louder. She vowed to trust in God's plan, even if it meant standing alone. Then, on a pivotal Sunday, everything turned. During Mass, Father Harold, known for his prophetic gifts, raised his voice with divine authority. "God has a special purpose for you, Mary. It has been foretold." The words struck her like a thunderclap, lighting up the shadows of doubt that clung to her heart. Memories of childhood dreams washed over her, yet whispers of skepticism from her neighbors gnawed at the edges of her mind. Just as Mary struggled with her inner tribulations, something miraculous unfolded. John's health began to turn during the evening prayer meeting, a testament to divine grace witnessed by all. Gasps echoed through the chapel, and tears of joy flowed freely, knitting the community together in collective awe. As Mary felt her heart ignite, she could sense her voice, previously muted, thrumming within her like a hymn long forgotten. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that is happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue with renewed hope thrumming in her veins. Mary stood poised at the choir's edge. As silence enveloped the chapel, her heart raced between divine promise and the lingering weight of expectation. Would her voice, pulsing with divine potential, bring forth the transformation she longed for? Or would the echoes of doubt snuff out the rekindled flame? In this charged moment, the true test of faith loomed ahead, and the village held its breath, anxious for what Goddess tapestry would reveal next. As the first notes of the hymn emerged, a gentle vibration coursed through Mary's being. It was not just the music. It was her very essence responding to the call of the divine. The chapel held its collective breath, a silent testament to the anticipation swirling around her. Each face turned toward her, some hopeful, others skeptical, but all listening intently. Mary took a deep breath, filling her lungs with the air thick with prayer and expectation. The whispers of doubt seemed to fade. In this moment, surrounded by flickering candlelight, she felt the guiding presence of Saint Cecilia. The saint's spirit, luminous and embracing, wrapped around her, encouraging her to release the shout her soul had long yearned to express. And then, The song flowed from her lips, sweet and pure. It wove through the space like a tapestry, wrapping around the hearts of her fellow villagers. Each note was a step into faith, a declaration of trust in God's intentions. The voice she had doubted now rang with clarity, filling the hearts of those who listened with a warmth that felt divinely orchestrated. Mary's apprehension began to shift as she caught glimpses of her neighbors' faces lighting up with recognition. Tears sparkled in the eyes of some. A gentle smile graced the mouths of others. This was not just her voice speaking. It was a communal longing rising together, uniting hearts in worship and healing. As she continued, the chapel transformed. The love of the congregation surrounded her like an invisible cloak, shielding her from the remnants of skepticism. Mary felt a shift in the atmosphere, a transcendent heaviness replaced by a buoyant lightness. This is why God brought me here, she thought, the realization igniting a renewed determination within her spirit. She was meant to be a vessel for His glory, a messenger of hope and healing. But in the midst of her soaring spirit, a shadow flickered in the back of her mind. Would this moment of joy pave the way for deeper trials? Would her newfound strength withstand the inevitable storms lurking on the horizon? The song came to a delicate finish, and a profound silence enveloped the congregation. Mary stood in reverent stillness, the hairs on her arms raised from the energy that had filled the air. Then, one by one, applause erupted. It was not merely clapping. It was a release of pent-up faith and conviction. Her heart swelled with gratitude and awe, sensing the miraculous unfolding before her. Yet, as she basked in the honor of recognition, her thoughts drifted back to John. Had he truly recovered, or were they merely basking in the warmth of a moment? The congregation's cheers felt distant against the overshadowing worry for her beloved husband. Then, like a dove sent from heaven, a delicate voice cut through the noise, calling her name. It was Mrs. Thompson, eyes shining with tears. "Oh, Mary, God has ignited something incredible in you. This is just the beginning." But before Mary could respond, a great gust of wind blew through the open chapel door, extinguishing candles and sending a shiver across the pews. The energy in the room shifted yet again. What was God trying to reveal through this sudden interruption? As Mary looked toward the entrance, her heart raced, curiosity gripping her. Perhaps something even more miraculous awaited beyond the door. What could this unexpected twist mean for her journey? With hope intertwined with uncertainty, she took a step toward the unforeseen future, what awaited her outside the sanctuary. As Mary stepped beyond the threshold of the chapel, the cool evening air struck her like a breath of fresh inspiration. The world outside unfolded before her, a dusky sky painted in hues of orange and purple, the last rays of sunset fading into the embrace of night. It was beautiful and, in its own way, mystical. Yet something felt different, charged, as if the very elements were leaning in, eager to share a secret. The wind swirled around her, lifting her hair and dancing leaves at her feet. In that moment, she sensed the palpable presence of God, as though every breath of wind whispered, "Trust." The shadows lurking in her heart began to tremble, the fear of tomorrow momentarily quelled in the brilliance of a divine promise. At the edge of the chapel grounds stood a figure, half illuminated by the fading light. Mary squinted, her heart quickening as she recognized him. It was John, her beloved husband. But something was different. He seemed lighter, almost glowing. His weary frame straightened, hope radiating from his expression, a stark contrast to the illness that had shadowed him for so long. "Mary," he called, a grin spreading across his face, stretching into a deep joy. "I couldn't wait any longer. I had to see you, to hear what God was doing through you." Her heart surged as she rushed toward him. Emotions cascaded, tears spilling from her eyes as the weight of their struggles faded into the background. In that embrace, there was a beautiful communion of souls, a melding of hardship and faith, a powerful affirmation that love persists even amid darkness. "John, you're better." She pulled back, searching his eyes for confirmation. "How did this happen?" "The prayer of the faithful," he replied, voice steady with newfound strength. "I felt their love wrapping around me as tightly as you just did. When you sang, it was as if the very heavens opened up. I knew I had to stand in solidarity with you. God's grace poured over me. The wind seemed to hush as if pausing to take in the moment, to witness this miracle born out of their collective faith. Mary could hardly catch her breath from the swell of joy in her spirit. She knew, without a doubt, this was not merely her victory. It was the triumph of their entire community, a chorus of hearts echoing the goodness of God. But then came that familiar tug in her spirit. What about tomorrow? She whispered, the light of joy slowly dimming. What if this was just a moment? The challenges we faced still loom so large. John reached out, his hands cupping her face gently. Love, we have to remember that every moment with God is a step toward something greater. Every challenge is part of our testimony. The truth of his words began to weave through her worries, igniting a spark of faith that had dimmed. What if each challenge was the soil for growth? What if this was indeed the dawning of their purpose together? Just then, a flicker caught her eye as a gust of wind stirred, catching narrow leaves in its grasp. From the depths of the trees, a soft rustling emerged, almost like laughter mingling with the night. Curiosity turned into a gentle insistence, and together, they stepped toward the sound. The air pulsed with promise, urging them to explore the unknown. What awaited them in the heart of the woods? Would this path yield more treasures of faith? Mary and John, hand in hand, braved the uncertainty ahead. Their hearts open to the mysteries yet to unfold. What divine surprises were still hidden within the shadows? As Mary and John entered the woods, the atmosphere thickened with an undefined magic. The twilight deepened around them, and fireflies began to flicker like tiny stars come to earth. Each light felt like a beacon of hope, guiding their steps deeper into the embrace of the trees. Do you hear that? John whispered, his voice barely above a breath. The wind danced through the boughs, transforming into a symphony of whispers. It was as if the forest itself was engaged in conversation, urging them to listen carefully. Mary nodded, her heart fluttering with anticipation. Yes, it's like the trees are speaking. Just then, they came upon a clearing bathed in soft, silvery moonlight. At the center stood an ancient oak, its gnarled roots reaching deep into the earth. The sight stirred something inside her, a wave of nostalgia mixed with awe. This was a sacred place, alive with the prayers of those who had walked before. They approached the oak, feeling its strength radiate warmth. Mary ran her fingers along the bark, each groove telling stories of time, of faith persevering against the odds. Here, she could sense the echo of every prayer offered, every tear shed, each moment of surrender as they stood before the tree. A hush fell around them, and a stillness settled in their hearts. It was a silence that demanded recognition, a space where divine love lingered, waiting to be acknowledged. Mary, John said, breaking the tranquil spell, there's something about this place. I feel it in my bones. We need to pray. His eyes sparkled with fervor, mirroring the light of conviction that burned in their hearts. Mary squeezed his hand, allowing the moment to sink into her spirit. Yes, let us pray. Let us thank God for everything He has done and ask Him for guidance on what lies ahead. With hope woven into their words, they knelt upon the cool earth. As they prayed, surrendering their dreams, pains, and fears, the very air pulsed with a fervent energy as if the heavens were leaning in to listen. Lord, Mary's voice trembled, show us the path you've prepared for us. We trust in your timing, even when the way seems dark. Each word sunk deep into the soil of her soul, mingling with the essence of the ancient oak. John prayed softly beside her, his heart laying bare. Guide us, Lord. Help us to embrace each moment and every challenge as part of your beautiful design. As they finished, a gentle breeze stirred the leaves like applause from an unseen audience. Their hearts swelled with a mixture of peace and urgency. They could feel the spirit of their community surrounding them, a loving embrace that infused their steps with courage. In the quietness that followed, an unexpected light began to bloom around the oak, shimmering in radiant colors. Mary's breath caught as she gazed at it, urging John's attention with a gentle nudge. John, look. Together they watched as the light grew brighter, swirling in fascinating patterns. It danced around them, intertwining with the falling leaves a joyful expression of the miraculous connectedness of faith. "What is happening?" she gasped. "I don't know, but it feels like a promise is being made, a new beginning," John said, awe etched on his face. But just as they began to understand, the light pulsed violently, and a figure emerged from within. Cloaked in luminescence, it seemed both human and divine, embodying the very essence of love. As their hearts raced, Mary felt a compelling pull to draw closer. The figure raised a hand in quiet invitation. What profound message awaited them? Could it be the revelation they were yearning for? And just like that, uncertainty transformed into wonder. Would the moment unveil the truth of their calling? As the figure began to speak, Mary's heart pounded with the knowledge that their journey was just beginning. The figure before them glowed with a radiance that seemed to defy the laws of the world. It was both magnificent and calming, drawing Mary and John closer without forcing them. They stood in silence, hearts quivering with expectation. The air was electric, charged with something otherworldly. "Fear not, dear ones," the figure spoke, its voice resonant like a sweet melody carried on the wind. "You are seen. You are known. The journey you embark upon is vital, woven intricately into a tapestry of hope and purpose." Mary felt the warmth of the words wrap around her, a blanket of divine comfort. Beside her, John's eyes shone brightly, reflecting the light that enveloped them. They were not just spectators but participants in a sacred conversation. Who are you?" Mary found her voice, steadied by an inner courage. "What do you want to tell us?" "I come to remind you both that every step you take is imbued with promise," the figure replied, gesturing toward the ancient oak. "This tree knows your prayers. It cradles your heart's desires and fears. What you ask of the Lord from the depths of your soul shall surely be answered, but patience is your path." As the figure spoke, the leaves above rustled gently, echoing the truth in those words. They were not mere wishes but declarations of faith, transformed by the divine. The oak stood firm, a sentinel of all prayers whispered in hope, binding the past to the future. "Seek to understand the gifts you have been given," the luminous figure continued, a soft warmth spreading like dawn breaking across the horizon. "Your voices are needed now. The world around you seeks light, guidance, and healing. You will be the vessels through which my love will flow." John nodded, his heart racing with the gravity of it all. "But what if we fail? What if we don't have what it takes?" "Your strength lies not in your own understanding," the figure assured him, "but in your surrender to the one who called you. Remember that doubt is merely a shadow. Courage is like the dawn, breaking forth to chase it away. Embrace your fear as part of the journey, not as an obstacle." Mary's heart swelled with gratitude. Doubt had, at times, clouded her vision, but she could feel the fog lifting. She closed her eyes, entrusting her uncertainties to a higher purpose. "Teach us how to use our voices, Lord. We're ready to follow your lead." With a soft smile, the figure extended its hand, and the light brightened until it enveloped them completely. "Go forth in confidence. You are held in love. Your voices will find their places, and echoes of hope will follow every step." In that moment, a rush of clarity surged through them. The light faded gradually, yet its warmth lingered. As they stood together, hearts aligned. A profound peace wrapped around them, a promise that all would be well. But just as they shared that glance of understanding, the wind shifted, shivering through the leaves of the oak. A distant rumble of thunder echoed ominously. "What was that?" John asked, unity dissolving into uncertainty as the serenity of their encounter morphed into a shadow of something pending. As the first drop of rain fell, heavy and unexpected, they looked to one another, the weight of the moment settling in. What challenges awaited? Whatever lay ahead, they now carried a flame ignited by divine intention. The question stirred within: when would God's plan unfold fully? With hearts racing, they prepared to walk into the unfolding mystery of their calling. The rain began to fall softly at first, whispering against the ground like a gentle reminder of the earth's renewal. Mary and John stood beneath the ancient oak. The sound of droplets cascading felt like a call to action, a sacred invitation to move forward. "What do we do now?" Mary asked, her voice steady despite the swirling unease in her heart. She felt small under the weight of the task ahead, but there was something undeniable blooming within her, a growing courage that emerged from the conviction that they were not alone. John looked up at the darkening sky, a swirl of clouds shifting like emotions beneath the surface. "Perhaps we need to listen, really listen this time," he suggested, "to the world around us, to those in need." The figure spoke of light and guidance, and it's clear now that people are waiting as they stood in contemplation. The rain intensified. It transformed the world around them, washing away remnants of fear and doubt. Each droplet was like a blessing, drumming onto their shoulders, urging them to embrace their path. With renewed determination, Mary stepped forward, boldness rising in her soul. "Let us go. We have to share what we've received. Our voice may carry hope to someone waiting for it. After all, we've been shown that love calls us to action." John nodded, sensing the fire igniting within her words. "Yes, our journey starts now under this wide sky. We'll bear witness to the miracles unfolding." Embracing this newfound purpose, they moved toward the village, the familiar trail now pulsing with life. It felt alive, a heartbeat matching their own, as they stepped through puddles that reflected the first glimmers of sun piercing through the clouds. "We must be brave," John murmured as they walked, "but we also must prepare ourselves for the resistance that might arise. Not everyone will welcome our message." Mary considered this. "True, but remember what that figure said. Our voices are vessels of love. If we are genuine and let our hearts lead, they may recognize the light within. They might be drawn to it like moths to a flame." As they approached the village square, the familiar sights felt transformed. The flickers of hope around them began to ignite, even in the faces of those hurrying inside to escape the rain. Within every frown was a yearning for connection. Every hurried step disguised a silent prayer for answers. John and Mary exchanged a glance, then stepped closer to a gathering of townsfolk huddled beneath the awning of a small shop. "Excuse us," Mary called out, her voice carrying strength from deep within. "We have something important to share." A few heads turned, eyebrows raised in curiosity, while others remained skeptical. Despite the hesitation, a few kind smiles peeked through the furrows of worry as they began to speak of what they had learned beneath the oak. The energy in the air shifted. Words flowed, recounting the message of encouragement and hope they had received. They spoke of love, purpose, and the importance of being vessels of light. Slowly, hearts began to open, eyes glistening with the relief of being seen and heard. The rain fell steadily now, drenching the earth but also washing away fear. As their message resonated, it became clear that God was working through them, weaving connections they had not foreseen. But even as hope blossomed, a shadow crept in. A figure emerged from the crowd, authority radiating from their presence. The tension shifted, hearts quickening once again. Was this a foe or a friend? What lay ahead would demand more than just their voices. Would their courage hold against the rising storm? As Mary's gaze met John's, the question loomed large between them. Was their commitment to this calling enough to carry them through the trials to come? In that moment of uncertainty, they stood poised to embrace whatever divine purpose awaited their response. The figure stepped forward, their expression a mix of curiosity and authority. As the rain danced around them, tension hung in the air like a thick fog. Mary's heart thudded in her chest, yet she felt an unexpected warmth spreading through her spirit. She knew she had to speak. "Who are you?" the figure asked, their voice commanding yet edged with intrigue. "What do you have to say to the people of this village?" Mary swallowed hard, but she felt John's steady presence beside her. "We are simply messengers," she replied, her voice finding strength in the storm. "We've come to share hope and a divine call to love one another. The world feels heavy now, but we believe in the light that can break through." Eyes from the crowd shifted back and forth, some filled with skepticism while others sparkled with interest. It was as if they held their breath, waiting for the figure to respond. The person seemed to soften at her words, even amidst their authority. "Hope is a powerful thing," they said slowly, looking out at the people gathered beneath the awning. What proof do you have that your words carry any weight? In that moment, Mary remembered the warmth that had enveloped her beneath the oak. Love, she said, is the proof we carry. It is only through connection that we can truly understand our purpose. Listen and you will feel it. As she spoke, the rain began to lighten, revealing patches of blue in a previously overcast sky. Many in the crowd exchanged glances, a few nodding as if awakening from a long slumber. John stepped forward, joining her. Just as the rain nourishes the earth, so too can our voices nourish hearts. We have witnessed miracles, people coming together, supporting one another, discovering their purpose. And we believe it starts right here, right now. A ripple of murmur passed through the townsfolk. Hope, once buried deep under fear, was now poking its head above the soil, eager to grow. They felt it like a soft whisper urging them to take a step forward, to share their stories, their talents, and their light. But still, the figure stood unmoved, assessing. You speak of miracles, yet they are fleeting. How do we sustain this belief? How do we gather the courage to hold this light? Mary's heart ached at their struggle. She responded softly but firmly. By sharing our stories, we rally together. We create a community of light-bearers. Each act of kindness, each word shared from the heart, it all weaves into a tapestry of faith that can catch the winds of change. More heads nodded, some with tears shimmering in their eyes. A younger woman stepped from the side, voice wavering as she added, I've been feeling alone for so long. Like my struggle didn't matter. But maybe I am a light too. In that moment, a collective release filled the air, like the softest sigh of the universe. Many began to step out from their corners of doubt, drawn to the warmth that spilled from Mary and John's words. Yet, as excitement breathed life into the crowd, the authoritative figure remained tense. Their eyes narrowed slightly, clearly grappling with the energy swelling around them. Be careful, they warned, voice low but full of weight. Many will try to extinguish this light. Do not underestimate the power of voices seeking to silence hope. Mary felt the tremor of truth in their warning. Yet the fiery resolve inside her only grew stronger. Then let us prepare ourselves for whatever may come, she declared, hope shining in her gaze, because together, we can withstand any storm. As the crowd began to murmur their agreement, she could sense the divine unfolding around them. Yet the figure's gaze remained unreadable. They turned to the crowd, raising their hand for silence. Let us see then what unfolds, they said. A gleam of something unreadable sparking in their eyes. A collective breath took hold in the square, the anticipation almost palpable. The rain had transformed them, the light now beckoning them forward into the unknown. What would this new connection create? What trials would test their bonds? And would the figure choose to join them, or stand against them in their quest? As they prepared for what lay ahead, a question echoed within Mary and John's hearts. Would their faith be enough to change the tide of doubt? As the last echoes of their anticipation faded, a stillness blanketed the square. Mary watched the figure closely, searching for any sign of willingness to engage. The crowd fell silent, the tension woven into the fragments of the moment like a fine tapestry. Each person's breath seemed to merge with the rhythm of the rain, now only a gentle patter, as if the heavens themselves were listening. Your words have stirred something in this village, the figure began, their voice now softer, almost tentative. There is a current of yearning for change, for something greater. Yet, what if this light you speak of grows too bright and draws unwanted attention? Mary felt the heat of conviction rising within her, igniting boldness she hadn't expected. It is true, light will attract eyes, she replied earnestly. But it also reveals the truth. When we shine together, we illuminate the darkness. We expose lies, and we discover our collective strength. The crowd responded with murmurs, fragments of hope now more tangible, hanging in the air around them like a warm summer breeze. The figure hesitated, a flicker of understanding crossing their features. And what if each light is extinguished one by one? What assurance do you offer that this unity will endure beyond this moment? John stepped forward, the determination in his eyes mirroring Mary's fervor. Each struggle we face binds us closer, like threads in a grand design. Our stories intermingle, creating a tapestry of resilience. Together, we will learn to hold onto hope through trials, emerging even more radiant. A ripple of affirmation surged through the crowd, echoing in both body language and soft-spoken words. Mary could see a shift, a quiet acknowledgement that they were all part of something larger than themselves. Let us not only speak of our struggles or fears, Mary said, her voice rising like the soft wind. Let us lift one another. Each testimony is a stepping stone to healing and connection. In sharing, we rediscover our worth and belonging. Small gestures of solidarity began emerging. Hands clasped in encouragement. Tears flowed more freely now. The village, once cloaked in silence, slowly transformed into an orchestra of hope, each individual a part of the symphony of voices singing together. Yet, the figure remained a steadfast observer, their brow creased in contemplation. Have you considered the sacrifices that may come with this light? Not everyone will embrace it. You may wind up facing adversity. The weight of their words settled heavily among the villagers. Shivers of apprehension rippled through the crowd. Mary felt the gravity of the moment. Their vulnerability laid bare. But with every heartbeat, her certainty grew. Adversity will come, but we will gather strength from one another, she said, glancing around the crowd. Look, we're standing together now, united. When we face trials, it is our shared love that will anchor us. And with that love, we shall rise again. The murmurs transformed into whispers of agreement. And suddenly there was a cheer, a simple but powerful act of acceptance and unity. Hope ignited brightly in their hearts, transforming their worries into unwavering resolve. The atmosphere shifted. The tension began to lift, making way for joy. The figure, observing this transformation, softened. Then let us see how this great adventure unfolds, they said, their facade cracking just a bit, revealing a flicker of curiosity. But just as relief washed over the crowd, a deep, rumbling growl echoed from the distance. It sounded like thunder, but the sky remained eerily calm. A collective gasp rose among the villagers as they turned towards the sound, uncertainty sweeping through them once more. What does that mean? Someone whispered in fear. Mary felt the cords of anxiety tighten again. But amidst the growing dread, she squeezed Jonna's hand, knowing they had to hold each other in faith. We continue, she whispered, her heart pounding. For our light is not just for this moment, but for all moments to come. This storm may be a sign, or the start of something profound. We shall remain steadfast, even when the winds howl. Now, as the ominous growl echoed again, deeper this time, fear intertwined with their courage. What awaited them in the shadows of that approaching sound? Would their resolve be strong enough to truly illuminate the path ahead, or would doubt entwine itself around their spirits once more? Maria's spirit trembled for what lay beyond, but within her surged a vibrant reminder. Faith had always been more profound than fear. The unfolding journey had only just begun. The crowd stood frozen, hearts pulsing in rhythm with the deep rumble that resonated ominously in the atmosphere. All eyes turned toward the horizon, where dark clouds loomed like guardians of secrets yet to be revealed. Mary felt the weight of their uncertainty pressing in, yet within her, a flicker of hope refused to dim. We must not lose heart, she implored, lifting her chin defiantly to meet the gaze of her neighbors. Every storm carries with it the promise of renewal. This growl may speak of trials ahead, but it may also herald a change, a profound shift in our lives. John nodded, squeezing Maria's hand tighter. Let this moment be the catalyst for our faith. Every sound in the distance can either frighten us or guide us to something beautiful. Are we not called to listen, to discern our path together? A murmur of agreement coursed through the villagers. The fear that had been so palpable began to fracture, revealing glimmers of courage. Understanding exchanged looks within the crowd, and they stood a little taller. The figure who had watched in silence now stepped forward, curiosity etched on their face. You speak of strength in unity and the promise of light amidst shadows. But how do you nurture hope when despair feels so close? By sharing our burdens, Mary responded. By lifting our voices in unison, we have the ability to rewrite our story with each encounter. Adversity does not weaken us. It builds our character. In those moments of trial, we discover the deep roots of our faith, and together, we can weather any storm. Tears glistened in the eyes of mothers, fathers, and children alike as the firmament of connection wove itself through their hearts. The growling faded, and in its place, a gentle breeze whispered through the square, soothing frayed nerves. Hope began to bloom like spring flowers breaking through the winter frost. Mary could almost feel the transformation electrifying the air, suffusing it with promise. Just then, the clouds parted slightly, revealing a sliver of light that poured through like liquid gold. The figure looked up, mesmerized by the divine illumination breaking through the gloom. "Look, the light, it signifies something, doesn't it?" "Yes," John exclaimed, eyes sparkling. "It's a reminder that however dark the night gets, dawn must always follow. Our spirits can rise, even when surrounded by uncertainty. We embrace this uncertainty collectively." The crowd nodded, their spirits lifted. Laughter, once buried under layers of fear, began to bubble forth, mingling harmoniously with the gentle rain. Mary stepped forward, feeling empowered by the collective resolve. "Let us gather here to share our fears, our dreams. Each whispered truth is another thread woven into a tapestry of strength. Let us not shy away from vulnerability, for it is in those echoes of honesty that we discover who we are and how we can shine together." A chorus of voices joined in, some sharing a heartfelt concern, others recounting small miracles that had emerged during difficult times. With each revelation, burdens felt lighter, like stones set free into a flowing river. And in the midst of this unfolding power, the growl returned, louder and nearer, but this time it no longer held the weight of fear. Instead, it cradled challenge wrapped in promise. Mary turned, facing the direction of the sound. "We do not know what awaits us, but we have each other. Every voice matters, every story counts. Together, we will face whatever comes, for our unity is the light that can guide us." As they stood united, the rumbling grew into a low, resonant roar. Yet there was an exhilarating charge in the air, like the moment before a great wave crashes upon the shore. What awaited them next? Would they emerge victorious, illuminated with the light they had created together? Or would the shadows cast by the growl prove too strong? The crowd was abuzz. Excitement mingled with trepidation. Each heartbeat echoed with divine mystery. Would they trust enough to step into the unknown, to believe they were divinely called to fulfill their purpose? Mary inhaled deeply, eyes sparkling as radiant as the growing light. The journey was evolving into something monumental, yet what other surprises lay hidden in the folds of fate to be revealed? The storm clouds loomed closer, casting shadows over Eldershire like an ominous veil. Yet within the hearts of Mary and John, a light flickered brightly. The villagers stood in the square, united, eyes gleaming with a new understanding. They could feel it, the thick tension and fear transformed into a collective spirit of hope. "Let the storm come," Mary exclaimed, her voice rising above the rumble. "We are ready. The trials may rage, but so will our faith." Her words sparked an electric energy among the crowd. They recalled how far they had come, how voices once silenced by doubt now held strong like anchors against the surging tides of uncertainty. Together, they felt as if they were becoming a part of something greater than themselves, a family forged in moments of vulnerability and courage. Then, there it was again, a deep, resonant growl, echoing from the horizon. It sounded more powerful this time, almost like a clarion call. And yet, instead of the familiar drift of dread, the villagers felt it tug at their hearts as if beckoning them to rise. "It's not an end, it's the beginning," John shouted, infusing his words with charisma. He turned to the figure who had observed them with unwavering scrutiny. "You feel it too, don't you? Something magnificent is calling us." The figure nodded slowly, a flicker of hope igniting in their gaze. "Yes, I sense it. But will your resolve withstand what is to come?" Mary stepped forward, unwavering. "Together we forge our destiny." Let us stand firm in our purpose, and whatever storm may approach will only serve to strengthen our bonds. In that heartbeat, something shifted in the villagers. One by one, they raised their voices in a chorus of affirmation. Songs of courage intertwined with shared stories, echoing the longing for connection. The rain now chuckled softly, washing away the last remnants of fear, seeking to renew their faith with each drop. Just then, as if the heavens themselves were listening, a ray of sunlight pierced through the dark clouds. It caught the villagers at just the right angle, splashing warmth across their faces. A gasp of wonder spread like wildfire, and the figure looked up, their expressions softening toward a smile. This light, they proclaimed, filled with astonishment. It represents the change you seek. Through trial and triumph, you must embrace your truths and realize your worth. Mary stepped closer and faced the crowd, her eyes bright with inspiration. See how that light shines in each of us. It reflects our potential to illuminate the shadows for others. Together, we wield a mighty force, the force of love and unity. Tears glistened in the eyes of villagers who once felt isolated, fearful. The warmth that enveloped Mary at the ancient oak now spread, igniting flickers of courage and assurance in others. As the clouds continued to part, a delightful rainbow emerged, bold and vibrant, spanning the horizon. It's a promise, Mary exclaimed, pointing to the breathtaking vision. Just as rain births beauty, our struggles can birth joy. Inspired, the villagers shouted in unity, "Yes, we believe." In that moment, the growling rumble transformed into a new sound, laughter. It rolled through the square like a joyful wave. This was their moment of emancipation, fear relinquished, faith empowered. With clarity of purpose, Mary turned to John, their hands clasped tightly. "Let us go forth, light-bearers of elders higher. We shall share our message of hope, lifting others as we rise." As they stepped forward, they grew ever more confident, rallying each other and their neighbors to accompany them. The figure watched intently, heart swelling, made hopeful by their resolve. Leaning into this new path, "Embrace the challenge," they called out. "But remember, with love, you are invincible." Together they moved, pouring into the streets of Eldershire, waves of enthusiasm flowing through them like a refreshing stream. Their voice resonated in the hearts of every villager, and laughter replaced the heavy sigh of uncertainty. Mary and John led a march of shared promises, destined to radiate hope. Through their village, the storm, though lingering in the distance, now felt like an invitation to deeper faith, an opportunity to embrace the divine potential locked within. With every step, they felt the power of community, of unity, awakening something profound. As they reached the village center, they paused. "This is our moment," they proclaimed, hands raised. "Let us stand in this light and embrace who we are meant to be." A sea of faces, once filled with skepticism, now watched in reflection, their hearts igniting with the glow of newfound faith. The growl transformed once more, shifting into applause, a powerful crescendo of acceptance. In that breath of time, they understood that the essence of hope is not just fleeting. It dwells within every heart that dares to trust and sing, creating ripples that span across generations. "Let love flow," Mary called out again, her heart alight with sacred purpose. "Let our voices resound and rise, illuminating every corner of our lives." As they rallied together, their testimony becoming a sacred hymn. The sky draped them in love, warrior spirits brave and unwavering. They took their stand, here, now, unafraid, and the heavens watched, rejoicing at the beginning of a beautiful story. This is the moment to rise, beloved ones. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread the light. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this ending, because your voice matters. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. You need to be a part of this journey. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Don't wait even one more second.